Hey everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's resume this Let's Learn a Caster, or the Caster Beginner's Guide for Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup with our Ogre Venom Mage. So we are in Dungeon 7, Experience Level 9, and as you can see, we have a new spellbook with spells to memorize. Our current spells are almost entirely well within the realm of safe casting. Just as a reminder about this, when you go to your fail rate, it is color coded. And what that color code means is not the percentage necessarily of how likely it will fail, although often it follows that pattern of getting more intense and towards the red end of the spectrum, the harder a spell is to cast or the higher your fail rate. But really what that denotes is that you will have a bigger chance of getting a negative effect from casting this spell and then miscasting it. So for example, if I cast Mephitic Cloud, there is a 5% chance that I miscast the spell, and then as a result of that miscast, I can get negative things can happen to me, most commonly, which would be to get contaminated with magical energies. And if you get too much contamination, it can cause all sorts of bad things for you, like mutations that are generally not good. And so you want to avoid miscasting spells that are in the red for sure, because the effects are more pronounced. So the harder a spell is, generally, the harder it is to bring down. But we've got almost all of them into a reasonable rate of cast. And once they turn gray or white, we will be even more comfortable. So let's go down. So here's a Sky Beast, and a Sky Beast does not like poison, so I'm going to give him 3 dots of poison vapors. Now this time you can see that my vapors have indeed stuck around. There's a little cloud there. Now one thing you can do, if an enemy is up on you and you have poisoned them significantly, and even though it's single target, there's the cloud here, and he's got his 2 dots. What I can do if I don't want to kite and I want to just finish this easily, now that my spells are within safe casting range, and even though it's yellow, I still consider this safe. Generally, you know, when you start getting below 10% fail rate, it's pretty okay to cast it. For me, for the most part, you can't necessarily rely on it, but I'm going to cast Ignite Poison. And you'll see that we got, he died basically. And let me explain this. It says you ignite the poison in your surroundings, and then the exclamation point by the end of the damage in this text log help determine, or at least indicate, I should say, to you how much damage has been dealt, because the actual numbers most of the time in the game are kept transparent. So I'm sorry, not transparent. How's that? They're kept as a mystery, and you get a kind of feel for how much damage you've dealt. But you can tell based on the number of exclamation points how painful it was. So 1 exclamation point, yeah, that hit him, that hurt him. 3 exclamation points is he got seriously hurt. He got rocked by that. It devastated him. The most exclamation points I've ever got, I think, is either 5 or 6 from, you can get insane amounts of damage when you backstab things, hit unaware enemies and get a stabbing bonus. And I think that's the most I've ever gotten. Anyway, it gives you a rough idea of how badly that hurt him. And he's dead, and Vehumit even gave us some of our magic points back. That's what it means when it says you feel your power returning in the bottom there, that this Vehumit ability has kicked on. We also got Piety for that. So that's terrific. I am going to go back up the stairs and just rest. If you can, if it's convenient and you need to rest, just go up the stairs and rest on the floor where it's safe. Because as you can see on this floor, I could just rest on the stairwell, but there's all this unexplored area where an enemy could just wander out and annihilate me. And I'm trying to, sorry about that, avoid annihilation. So rest where it's safe. We got a ring. Okay. We have 3 scrolls of Remove Curse and an unidentified scroll and 1 scroll of ID. How we doing jewelry wise? We have a +6 ring of strength, which is not really important to us right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on and try it on, see what it is. It's a cursed ring of attention. You can see when you put on something that's cursed, it says, oops, that ring feels deathly cold. So immediately you need to just push R to read a spell. And then I'm going to read my remove curse. And then it says you feel as if something is helping you. And now the curse has been removed. So I can just go to remove my ring of attention. However, instead of doing that, I'm just going to push D and select it and just drop it. And say, I don't even want it. And then now we have an empty ring slot. And I'm going to put on a new ring in its place. Oops, I accidentally took off my protection from magic. I'm going to put that on. Alright. And now we've got our original rings back on. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So what we see on the screen now are some good treasure items. Potentially. I mean, they could be garbage, but here's an artifact rapier. Okay, so an artifact item is indicated in the text log, whereas it's a very, very bright white kind of bolded text that you can see. It stands out in relief against the grayer text. And this is an unidentified, what we call a randart, meaning it's a random artifact item. I'm going to pick it up. And then here is a magical robe. Now, magical stuff is just indicated by blue text in the text log. I'll pick it up. The difference between artifacts and magical items is power level. Magical items can have one brand or one property associated with them, like protection from fire or venom or whatever. They just have one thing and then a bonus if it's a weapon or a piece of armor in terms of a enchantment bonus. Like, for example, my dagger is a +3 dagger of venom. So it's a blue item, and it has venom, and it's +3. Artifacts, however, can have many brands on them. They can have 1, or they can have, I think I've seen 6. I can't recall what the most is, but you can get a random number of brands on there. And they're not always good. They might be bad. They might be like strength -6 or something terrible like that, you know, or there's definitely some curses. There's some that cause contamination or cause you to become slow and do bad things to you when you equip them. So you have to be mindful. And I don't really ever equip anything that's an artifact without identifying it, simply because there are some brands out there that hurt you even when you take them off. So for example, if this weapon had a distortion brand on it, then you take damage when you take it off. And if it has an asterisk contamination on it, then you would get contaminated with magic if you took it off. So I am going to use my scroll of identify and just see what this rapier is so we can take it in. Okay. It is an outrageously good item in terms of its power level. We're only on dungeon level 8, and this is what can happen with artifacts, okay? It's +12. Normally, a rapier or any magical weapon, any weapon, can only be enchanted +9. Artifacts can go beyond that. So this one is +12. Which is extraordinarily strong. That +12, by the way, that enchantment bonus on a weapon is +12 to hit and +12 damage. So it's very, very strong. By itself, that's good. However, it also has freezing, which means it might freeze enemies, and then it gives us resist poison, which is also extremely helpful. So let me show you how helpful this is. I'm going to push Shift 5 and bring up my character card. You can see over on the left column all of my different resistances, and some of them are out of 3, like resist fire, cold, and negative energy. Some of them are like binary, you either have it or you don't, and poison is one of those. It's either you have resist poison or you don't. And so if I were to use this, now I would be very hard to poison indeed. Remember, even though you have it, it doesn't mean that you're immune to poison. There is a difference between resistant to poison and immune to poison. Like undead stuff, you just can't poison at all. It's just immune to it. But certain things that are resistant, you can still, like we saw with Sting, poison it. However, it increases your chances it decreases the likelihood that you are poisoned significantly. So that's fantastic. Then it also has freeze, okay? And if you're interested in what that means, all you have to do is go into your inventory and just click on the item, all right? And it says, it gives you information about the weapon. Now, its base accuracy is +4 because it's a short blade, so it's still really easy to hit with. And then it does base damage 8, which is better than our dagger. Its base attack delay is 1.2, and that means how much time it takes to swing the weapon in terms of turns. So you can see, if I push escape twice, in the upper right, in my character status card in the upper right corner, it says time, and it's basically telling you how many units of time or turns the game has taken, with each step you take generally being 1, unless you have a slow movement. And so, like for example, you can see it's on 11,080, and if I take a step up, it goes up by 1. 1 unit of time has passed. However, if I attack with that rapier untrained, it takes 1.2 attacks, 1.2 turns rather, to attack with it. So it's slightly slower than moving or a normal attack. However, if I train the short blade skill, I can get it down to 0.5, so twice as fast as movement, and I can get it there at level 14 of short blade skill. Now, it also says that it's good for stabbing unaware enemies, so if there's a sleeping enemy and you hit it with any short blade, you get a bonus, stabbing bonus. And then it says, this is the freeze part. It has been specifically enchanted to freeze those struck by it, causing extra injury to most foes. So if it works, if it procs, it just hurts people for cold damage, and up to half again as much against susceptible opponents. So if it's like a fiery enemy that's susceptible to ice damage, they get devastated by this. And it can also slow down cold-blooded creatures, which is great against snakes, anything that's cold-blooded, any kind of reptile, lizard, whatever. You can actually slow them, so slow down their movement and attack as a bonus, plus the extra damage, and it protects us from poison. So this is a very, very good item that we will be using. I'm going to step up here really quickly. Oop, and here's a hound. So I'm going to just give this hound a bunch of poison, and he's going to die instantly. And I'm just going to wait. My poison cloud is there. I'm going to chop him up and step up the stairs. Next thing we're going to do is put on our robe. All right, this glowing robe, and it's a cursed -1 robe. So even though something is magical, it doesn't mean it's good. This has no brand and has just been enchanted negatively. So it's worse than what we had. You can see our armor class is 2 instead of the 3 that it was at. So we have to burn a scroll of remove curse and just put on our old robe. And now we're okay. And let's just get rid of this crap robe that is cursed. Get out of here, bad robe. Alright. Okay, so we have some interesting decisions to now make regarding what do we want to do with this weapon. Well, we're going to equip it, right? We already have kind of decided that it's the way to go. It does not poison people anymore, but it does raw damage. Now, still, for the most part, we're a caster. We're not going to be smacking people with this thing, but we can to save MP because we're an ogre. So we've got that extra cushion of health, and we also have a pretty sizable strength. So these are things to consider. However, I am wearing robes and have an armor class of 3, so it's still not advised to spend too much time trying to kill people with this. Now, here's what I want to talk about. There's my skills. Let me look at my spells right now. I'm almost to the point where I could consider turning poison magic off. The other important metric here to keep your eye on is spell hunger. This can creep up on you, and you can be spamming Toxic Radiance, for example, with a big group of enemies, and it's super successful and you're having a great time, and you're not realizing that you're burning through food, because even though Poisonous Vapors causes no hunger, and Mephitic Cloud and Ignite Poison cause almost no hunger, Toxic Radiance is causing a pretty good amount of hunger, and so we have to be careful with that. Now, we can reduce that by continuing to level up spellcasting and poison magic. These are still within the acceptable bounds of me training them, and let me talk about what that means. You can see next to the skill there's this kind of aqua number, slight blue, that tells you the cost. And this is telling you, like, based on the experience you're coming in, this is how much of that experience it's taking to level this up. And so the bigger this cost number, this means, the ratio, for example, to raise fire magic, it's only 1.2, but to improve the fire magic skill. But to improve poison magic, you're talking about 10.7, and this is the relative cost, right? So what this does is give you an idea, like, the bigger this cyan number, the more of your experience it's going to take to raise it, and the longer it's going to take. So once this number gets absurdly high compared to the others, if you have another skill that you're interested in, it's time to probably switch it up. So other skills that I might want to pursue, fighting for sure. I'm going to pursue this. I have a +3 aptitude, which makes the cost lower. It gives you a bonus to raising the skill. The higher the aptitude, the bigger the bonus. Conversely, if there is a minus, it means it's more expensive. So fighting I want to raise because fighting just gives you more health. So like for every level of fighting, you're going to get an extra hit point, and that's important. It actually is a little bit more than just 1 for 1, but it's important. Then other skills, evocations are probably pretty good. This is for using wands and any kind of evocable items like a box of beasts or a lightning rod or whatever that you might get. So these are great things to use. They're very powerful and they don't cost MP. And then obviously at some point we'll get another school of magic that we want to level up, and we'll put some points into that. For now, I'm just going to finish off with what I've got until all my poison magic spells are in control. So let's keep exploring level 8. Alright, so let me give this guy some vapors. And I'll just back off. A lot of the game for me is feel. You just get a feel for what it's going to take to kill something. And you use this feel, which can only come from experience, really, to help determine the most efficient way to kill things, because you don't want to, especially with an ogre, you don't have as many MP as some other magic casting classes. You can't just spam your biggest spells over and over again. You have to be considerate. Now, here's a white. White is undead, so I cannot poison him, so I'm going to have to do my Mephitic Cloud trick. However, another thing you need to know about whites is that they travel in packs. So there's going to be more than one of these dudes. Most likely. But right now, I only see one. So I'm going to push capital Z. And I'm going to cast Mephitic Cloud right here. And then there's the other white. I'm going to cast Ignite Poison and kill the white. This white I don't believe will come through the fire. However, ooh, there's another white who's snuck around up top. Okay, so the thing about whites is they wear like robes. They're like casters who just have a big weapon. So they're not particularly well armored, but they can hit you for a ton, especially this guy with the battle axe. So let's look. He's got a +2 battle axe, and this guy has a +4 axe. So they have these like magical weapons that are, luckily they're not branded with something like electrocution. An electrocution weapon, if you see that on somebody, be extremely careful. Be terrified, in fact, because that can out of nowhere just like one-shot you. Okay, so let's think about what we want to do. Well, what we want to do is push capital Z. I still have 17 out of 20 magic points, which is enough to start this fight. And if I need to run, I can. I have a clear path along this kind of this crescent moon tunnel up to this teal stairway up. So I know I have a way out. And before you start fighting, by the way, if you're interested, I have a whole video called 5 Tips to Picking a Fight in Dungeon Crawl, and it gives you like kind of a checklist of things to run down. But one of them is, can you escape? Have you explored enough to be able to run? If you need to, and yes, we can. So that's part of it. The other part is, how's my health? How's my magic? They're fine. How are the enemies? They're yellow, which is a considerable threat, but not overwhelming. We can do it. And then, what kind of consumables do we have? Okay, so let me exit out of my spell. I have polymorph and digging. These wands will do nothing against them, because I don't really want to polymorph them, and I don't think my chance would be very good. You can try to polymorph something, and then it'll tell you your chance to defeat their magic resistance. You cannot, for example, polymorph a white, and then on the imp, who we don't want to polymorph, it's only a 28% chance. This imp, by the way, does not have a wand, so we don't have to be worried about that. You can see in his little sprite if he's carrying a wand, but also you can just push X and then move the cursor over him to examine to make sure he doesn't have a wand to blast you with. So wands aren't going to really help us. Digging we could maybe use, you know, for some kind of environmental escape or trap, but probably not. Potions. I have a potion of curing, and I have a potion of ambrosia. Ambrosia is actually a very, very nice potion to use if you run out of magic. It gives you regeneration on hit points and magic, however it confuses you. So you want to be very careful when you cast it, and understand that you're going to be confused while it's going into effect. But it gives you back magic, which can be the difference between life and death. So we have some of those potions, and then what scrolls do we have? We could teleport away, and we could blink away. So we have all of the important escape mechanisms, so I feel comfortable doing this fight. Now I'm going to cast, and I pushed capital Z, I'm going to cast a poison cloud. I'm going to put it like, I'm going to put it here. So you can see the yellow box where it's going to go, alright? And I could put it here, but then this guy could just step here, and he would be safe. So I want to put it here, and this square, you can see, the imp, if he wants to get closer to me, he has to step into it, and this second white also has to step into it. I cannot get both whites right now, because it's out of range. I can't make a box further than the range. Furthermore, I don't want to, because it takes 2 turns to both cast the cloud and then set it on fire. So if I cast it back here, this guy would be through it. So this is a good place to start it, okay? Now there's actually 3 whites. You can check in the right-hand panel. This shows the enemies that are in line of sight. There's 3 whites and Crimson Imp. And you can even see, like, it's a zoom in. Well, it's not a zoom in. It's just the same size portrait of them. And you can see 2 of them are in the cloud, and the imp is in the cloud. So when I push Z and D to set this on fire, we're in a great spot. Now, the imp blinked out. They moved so fast that he got out before he caught on fire. But 1 white died. You see it says you destroyed the white. So we have 1 white that's gone. And then we have an imp in our face. The imp, remember, we can hit with sting, but also we have this +12 rapier. So I'm just going to try to hit him with it. And he must have... Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. So much text happened that we need to expand a text box. So if you want to expand a text box, you just push Control P, and it centers the whole thing. So what happened is, this was back when we first ignited the poison. We destroyed the white, Vehumit gave us piety, and then he gave us MP back, which is great, right? And then, oh my gosh, this white has a +8 Falcon of Freezing. It's almost as good as ours, which is a +12 Falcon of Freezing. Anyway, the imp then, though, blinked, because that's kind of how they move, and he actually got to hit us. But he hit us. He missed us, he hit us, and then... we set this on fire. Okay. And what happened was... oh, I'm reading this wrong. Okay, anyway. The imp hit us before we cast our spells. That makes more sense. Okay, anyway. So what happened is, once we set this on fire, the first white died. We saw that. Then we hit the imp with our weapon, and you can see that we punctured him. So we hit him just with the physical damage, and then we also froze him with the brand, the freezing brand from the weapon. We did 2 sources of damage, and we killed him, and we got MP back. We got our spellcasting skill up, and then the other white that was still standing in the flames, he just died on his own. So now there's only one lone white left, and I'm going to throw a javelin at him. I just push F, and then it targets him automatically because he's the only target, and I just push F again to throw it. Now let's see if he's going to wait. He's not going to come at us yet. But I'm comfortable fighting him because I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to push capital Z, and I'm going to set a cloud right here. And he's going to step into it. Of course, the Mephitic Cloud is not guaranteed to produce a cloud on every one of its tiles. Those are just the possible tiles. So he is in a free tile. So if I ignite poison right now, he will not get hurt. So I just push S to wait. Now he's in the poison, and another white has come onto the screen. Another part of the picking a fight thing is you always have to be mindful of, has an enemy added? Now our magic points are actually getting kind of low, so I might ignite poison here and then run away. I'm going to ignite. I'm actually going to cast Sting on this guy. And then I'll just back up. I'm going to hit him with my Falcon, because I know he'll die. And then I'm going to step back. This other white is coming at us. How did I know he would die with the Falcon, by the way? And I could be pronouncing it wrong. Maybe you say Falchion. I don't know. Whatever. With this, like, short blade that I've got here. Because his health was so small, he had very little health left after getting blown up by the explosion. And it's a +12, so I felt very confident. Remember, it's +4 accuracy base because of its weapon type, and then we're getting +12 on top of that, and then the white doesn't have a lot of armor. Remember, you can go over him, push V, and you can see his info. His armor class is eh, his evade is eh. You know, it's not 0, but it's not that high. And so, I felt confident that I could get one hit on him and that it would kill him. So it did, and we got some magic points back. Remember, if I look at my spells, Mephitic Cloud is a 3rd level spell, and Ignite Poison is a 3rd level spell. So the combo will take 6 MP of our 8. I don't know if there's any more whites, but I don't see any. So I'm going to push capital Z, and I'm going to be proactive here. I have enough space where I can run if I need to. I'm going to set it right here. And he steps in, and so I'm just going to push Z and then D, and he's on fire, and I'm going to cast Sting on him. It missed him, but now he's really hurt, and I'll just try to hit him again. He has a +2 hand axe. Awesome. Okay, and so we punctured him, and we killed him, and Behemoth's happy about it. Okay, now, Vehement has offered us the knowledge of shock. So I'm going to push Shift M and show you that the spell that he was offering me before, which was freeze, I believe, is gone. And now he's giving us shock. Now shock is a spell I might learn. It's an interesting spell. And let me show you why. You can always just click on, you push Shift exclamation point, and then you can click on it or push the corresponding letter to get more information. See, shock throws a bolt of electricity that partially bypasses armor. So the nice thing about this is you get through armor and you can wreck people at a very, very long range. Its range is much longer than poison vapors or sting, for example, and it would be a spell that I could use on things that were not susceptible to poison. So it would give me like another option. Shock is also a thing that you can bounce off of walls to get double hits with, and it's only a first level spell. And because I already have Conjuration and a little bit of air magic for my Mephitic Cloud, I'm already good at casting this. So I'm actually going to memorize this. And push Shift M and push A, and it will say, you want to memorize it? And I say, yes. I have lots and lots of spell levels. I have 10, and its first level only takes one of those. So it's not really crowding me out of getting anything that I might want. Remember, too, if you ever get a spell that you don't like, you can use a Scroll of Amnesia to forget it and get those spell levels back. So you can hoard your Scrolls of Amnesia. You usually get plenty of them through the game, for the most part. Now, because I have shock, I'm going to push Shift Z and look at my spells. And you can see that Mephitic Cloud and Ignite Poison and Toxic Radiance are almost within that realm. And so what I might do is, I'm just going to wait a little bit longer, but I will turn on Conjurations, because it's cost almost nothing to level it up because it's at 0, and I really feel like I want some more Conjurations. Now, before I explore anymore, I'm at 3 MP. This is a critically bad time for a caster to be low MP, so I'm going to go rest, but I'm going to do that, like I said, safely. Look, another white is trying to come and join us, and I don't even have enough. Now I finally have enough magic to do the combo, but if I miscast or it doesn't work, I'm out of luck. So I'm just going to go upstairs and just rest. Now, here's the thing. If I go back downstairs right now, there is a high probability that that white is going to be right there. And the Mephitic Cloud Ignite Poison combination does not work very well if the enemy is adjacent and you don't have a square that you can see behind them, because the Mephitic Cloud will go onto you. Sometimes you have to risk it, but it can confuse you, and it's not something you want to have happen, because if you're confused, you cannot cast spells. So I'm going to actually look for a different staircase down. Alright, so we've got a Centaur Zombie and a Worker Ant, so I'm just going to push Z, and then I'm going to cast Poisonous Vapors, but I'm going to cast it on this guy, who I can actually hit. Now this Centaur Zombie is going to come over, but I'm not really worried about him. I have my huge weapon, and I should be able to just take him down, and I did. Okay, I'm going to go up and just rest until the poison's off. Then I'm going to go back to engage these Howler Monkeys. The thing about Howler Monkeys is they howl, they yell, and so they alert enemies all around. You can see my noise meter is cranked, so I need to be very, very careful here. I'm going to step here up to this tile to get more visibility and see what's up here. There's 3 Howler Monkeys. So this is a great time to just push Z and E and do Toxic Radiance, and then just kind of step back, and do Toxic Radiance again. 1 Howler Monkey down. I'm going to cast it again, and I don't need to cast it again because this Howler Monkey is going to die, and this Shadow Imp doesn't care about it. So I'm actually going to I'm going to try to cast Shock on this guy and see how it does. It does no damage. Electric damage can roll low or really high. It has a high variance, so you need to be careful with it. Let me try it again. I kind of hit him, but anyway, my rapier is going to kill him. Here comes an Ice Beast. Because of the noise, enemies know where I am. I'm going to give him... Oh, that's right, Poisonous Vapors doesn't work on him. So instead what we'll do, we have enough MP to just try this. I'm going to push Z, and I push, I'll throw a shock at him. And then I'm going to push Z, and I'm going to put Vapors here, and I'm going to set him on fire. And he should just get owned by the flames. I'm going to just sting him, and he's dead. And now it's time to step up and rest. Whew. Okay. We're doing great. We're doing great. I think that this is a good place to stop the episode. We've made tremendous progress. We have a huge weapon that we can use to conserve MP, and sometimes you get lucky and you can do this, but don't count on it, you know. And I'm not going to abuse it so that you can't learn from the video and be like, oh, well, the only reason he was able to do it was because he got this insane artifact. To be honest, the +3 Venom Dagger is also really, really nice. You just need something to finish people off with in those cases where either they can't get hurt with poison or they've been majorly hurt, they're almost dead, because you need to conserve magic. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you are learning. And if you have any questions, if anything is unclear, please ask me in the comments below. I would love to check them out and respond. Hope you guys have an excellent evening or day. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will check you in the next video. I think I'm going to keep going with this character just a little bit, and before I let this series die off, and give more of a tutorial going a little further. If you guys would like to see that, please also like the video and post that in the comments below. Like, how far do you want to see me go before I switch over to doing a different type of character? Alright, everybody. Take care.